nine different people out of the pen for you today. You've mentioned that this is a puzzle that you're still trying to piece together. What did you take away from today, and how are you going about solving that puzzle going into SEC play next weekend?
Well, I think the one thing we took, which I'm always a fan of, is just reps. I mean, whether it's plate appearances as a hitter or touches on the mound, whatever the best phrase is for a pitcher to make an appearance, I think it's a positive no matter what happens. But within the outing or within an at-bat, you're always moving up or down. If you really like competition, then I don't think it makes sense to be a fan of staying in one spot. You're kind of either gaining ground or not. That doesn't mean as a hitter you got to have the pressure on to get a hit. There's presence, there's approach, there's certain things you see, and sometimes maybe you need more than one rep. But some guys helped themselves and some guys didn't, which one of the questions you all had before the weekend or during the weekend was, what do we want to see going into SEC play? And I think a vague but true answer is we want to see what we got. And as each day goes forward with this team, we learn more and more. I think there's a lot of good things, and then there's always going to be some things you need to improve on too.
What about in terms of, getting into a little more traffic today on the bases, but getting out of most of it? What were your thoughts on kind of getting that traffic in the first place and then getting out of it?
Yeah, my mind's set on Braden Krenzel getting a chance to grow up. It was the team will know this, they don't need to hear this, but we had a scrimmage where he got thrown into this weird situation and he did well, and it helped him grow up. And we talked about it as a team at the conclusion of the day. And then today, we had Thacker down there in the bullpen, and he was ready. I just didn't want to have him his first career college hitter he faces with the bases loaded. Krenzel got ready fast, went out there and did what he did, and he continues to be that guy each time he does get out there is to help himself. But yeah, you don't want guys on base at all, but it does help to get reps where there's a little bit of pressure on or you got to hold runners on.
For most of your tenure, you guys have had an SEC play 3 weekend starters, sometimes changing. But are you comfortable like it is right now, of more of an opener or changing it week to week, or would you like to get to that point where there's a consistent Sunday guy?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be lying or trying to twist words to say you wouldn't want to know each weekend exactly what it looks like. But at the same time, we proved last year, in my opinion, that you can kind of treat it like a puzzle, not just the coaches, but the players. And if everybody's prepared at all times, willingness is a huge word for the pitchers. And like Snead is one of our better guys. I don't know that I've been around a more willing guy to do whatever, whenever, and he always wants the ball. And there's other guys like that too. So if you got the right pieces, while it may not be mapped out as well as some other teams, you can maybe feel like you're in a little better spot than other teams, or a little wealthier, or have an abundance of options.
You talked about Bargo last night and that mindset. How good was it for him to have this whole weekend before going to SEC play?
I think you hit the nail on the head to complete it. I expected y'all to ask about Hunter, but with Jay needing to get in there, you want Bargo to put together a complete weekend, repetition-wise. And I think he certainly did that, not just offensively with results, but just with approach and all the things we talked about last night. So I think it's something that can help catapult him forward. And other guys, you guys have asked about Reese, and these kids, they need a little bit of an affirmation from the game to feel the way that they should. And you could say, well, what about last year? Each year's new, and it comes with different expectations, and you guys tweeting out new stuff and fans in different categories and things like that. So I think he's one of a few guys that now have been pushed forward because of efforts like this weekend.
Tony, was Hunter just an off day, and then also Andrew Banky? What's his status?
Yeah, he's thrown off the mound. So the old song and dance you guys don't like to hear, but like if the world was coming to an end and he needed to go get a hitter, he certainly can do that. But we'd like to go through a sequence. And it's kind of like last year with a couple of our guys. The better the team plays, there's so many different ways where the better the team does, the more it helps the kid. They sometimes just don't know it. But in that case, it buys you a little room. There's no need to fast forward on the deal if other guys are doing a good job covering innings and we're swinging the bat well. So he's ready. And then Ensley was just to grab him before the game and make sure he doesn't punch me in the face. But, just trying to get different guys in. And, we can talk about that rule if you want, because I do. But if you only come to the plate 6 times in a game, that's not good for guys like Chris Newstrom, who showed you what he's fully capable of doing. Imagine if he had 100 at-bats under his belt rather than the 12 or 13, whatever it is.
You mentioned Jay, just kind of, how would you assess what he gave you today?
Yeah, it's just a different vibe, when he's involved. And it could be coming off the bench, too. And now everybody knows it could be coming off the bench defensively. It could be coming off as a base runner. And then at the plate, he's the guy. I've been in that situation in the other dugout. It's annoying to have him a guy like that at the plate. And when he gets a little better at the bunt game, too, it's going to be that even more so. So he's one of, we have more than 9 guys that have shown they deserve to be in the lineup every day at this point. So he'll get his reps at doing that, but it sure is fun to have him off the bench too, and knowing that he can help you in those different ways.
Coach, I just got done speaking with Ariel outside, and he was excited to tell me that we got a couple more guys here that he can speak Spanish with. Can you talk to me a little bit about Alberto and Manny and Ariel and what type of energy they bring to the locker room?
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Antigua was left on deck again today, watching a ball go over the left field fence. So that kind of plays into that deal as well. But he is a guy whose passion for the game is unmatched. And a lot of that, I think, can be, labeled a cultural thing. But I think it's also just a guy that comes from a great family, and that's a segue into Berto. We kept hearing all this to the point where you're like, come on, you like him because he hits home runs, or you're just trying to be nice to the kid. And again, probably stemming from his family background, just an unbelievable kid. And he started to help me with my Spanish because my guy Manny, right now he's doing it with the glove and the bat, but he's not doing it with the bilingual status. So I go to Berto for that, and he's helping me with some of the things that I'm looking to improve on. But all in all, that's a pretty good group. The more the merrier.
Thank you, Coach. Vamos Falls.
Yes, indeed. Vamos Falls.
Tony, you had a couple of seasons where finding a catcher was a bit of a roller coaster for you early in your tenure. How nice is it to have Cannon and Stone where they're at going into SEC play?
Yeah, it's unique, and it's so nice that, Cannon switch hits, but, sometimes in your mind you get a little too matchup crazy, but it is a factor to have 2 guys that really are kind of different, and they go about it differently. And if you were asking Coach Anderson, a big thing to do with that duo is the pitchers really like throwing to the guy. So if you have a guy back there that's not as talented as those 2, it can still go well. Because the guys, I guess, kind of play, or his ability elevates a little bit when the pitchers really respect them and like them and want to throw to them. And both those guys fit that category. And so I already kind of said, Stone has impressed me. He's done better than I thought he would. Someone needs I'm sure it's kind of more the scout's job. Peebles has really become a great catcher. We've kind of gone with an assortment of infielders, but the other night we had Peebles there, and then Manny, Ariel, Dean, and Gavin all kind of hanging out there. That's pretty dang good. There's no weak spot there. So that made me feel confident, and a lot of it is because of how far Peebles has come.
What went into Stone catching today as opposed to yesterday? What happened?
That's a good question. Maybe he made me mad on Saturday morning, which I don't even know that he's capable of. But I think it was more of a deal with their starting pitcher. I mentioned yesterday they took him out early, and I wasn't sure why. I think the guy was just a little sore, so always good to be a little extra cautious with Selena, with him coming out of the game earlier. But with Selena's breaking ball, you saw when it was on, it was really good, even though it was only for a few innings. So kind of more that matchup with Peebles. And we'll try and balance that out as best we can. And you saw it on opening day. You give a little bit of the nod to the more to the more experienced guy in Cannon, but it helps those guys so much to balance that out. Peebles was here really early in the morning, and then he's also stalking the hallways, getting ready for the game as he always does. I posted the lineup late today, and he doesn't play. But I do think that benefits him in the long run at that position. What Joe Mauer did offensively, pro ball is different because there's more reps, but what Joe Mauer did offensively is insane at that position, especially if you break down the analytics. So those two guys have made each other better through competition, through kind of coaching each other, and also the fact that we'll be able to balance out the reps a little bit.
One or two more guys.
Tony, do you like where AJ is in his progression, trying to get back to who he is on the field?
Yeah. Now you mean AJ Russell, right?
AJ Russell.
On the mound.
Yeah.
It's just where you threw me off there. I'm not correcting you. Damn it, we were going good again.
You're trying to ask the question in a
Choppy
different way.
weekend. Well, it's one less hour for. I didn't even know that was going on. Maybe I should have mentioned it to the team. You could feel it in the air that there was one less hour of sleep, I think, at times. But I don't know why we do that to ourselves. Again, another topic. No, the bottom line is to speak openly about it. It was a deal where AJ's an abnormal kid, and he got ahead of that program quicker than the average guy. So I mentioned the word analytics. That's what's used to decide if Thacker's ready to go, which he was today. Thacker's a little bit ahead of the curve, but kind of meets where he particularly needs to be. And AJ just leapfrogged too many things. And so I think it's time for everybody that's involved to take a deep breath, have a conversation, and say, he showed what he can do. We feel good about the throwing program and the protocol, but let's take a deep breath and look out for the long run of what we're trying to do with our season and his career combined. So that's a long answer, but I'll be danged if he didn't speed through that thing too quick because of how dedicated he was. So again, if you're talking about, hey, we need 2 outs in order to throw a big party, or everybody here gets a high five or a gold sticker, he can go do that right now. I mean, he showed it to you the other day. But again, I think it's kind of take a deep breath, recalibrate mode, and kind of start a new throwing program to prepare him more to be a starter, as opposed to, he came in the other day and just got 3 outs.
You guys broke a program record, 16 straight wins to begin a season. What does that mean to you?
There's your gold star right there, high five. No, I wasn't aware of that, but I do think you may not win every game, but you can get a vibe there of what's going on, and it's one of the better vibes I've been a part of, not just here, but other programs as well. So they need to make sure that continues to push forward and be ready for more adversity. It doesn't mean you got to lose the game, but be ready for more adversity. And I'll tell you what, in 2020 it got cut short, but that team exploded onto the scene, and it was a little louder than this team. But then we had a setback against Wright State, a great program, but I think that group learned in a hurry, hey, you're not invincible. This game will humble you in a hurry. Every sport will, but I think this one just as much. They say golf too. I ain't messing with that. But I think our guys need to be prepared for adversity to come their way and fall back on the confidence of what they've accomplished so far, that they can get through it.
Is there a timeline then for AJ, or a target date?
Yeah, I would think more getting into April as we get into those last 2 months of the season. And obviously you want to play past the month of May. But May's the big one that college coaches, I think, talk about, and the kids look forward to when school's out. And, as we march towards May, March is an important month too, but I think looking at those months of April and May, I think that makes more sense with kind of the powwow that was had, again, just with all parties involved. So if the button needed to be pressed, it could be pressed, but I don't think that's the case. I think he's definitely wanting to pitch, but also has the mind. He's been there. He's seen what last year looks like with what needs to be done for a team to have success in the long run. And then we certainly all know, I joked with you the other day, he pitched for 12, 15 years. So not necessarily tying everything down to 1 week in front of us.
So no setbacks, just being overly cautious.
0. I don't mind. I'm not even close. The opposite. No setbacks, got going too fast. And so hold your horses. So maybe that thoroughbred that you let. I'm not going to do a rodeo. I'd love to be a rodeo guy. I had that damn cowboy hat on for a night. And, I don't know that I've earned the right to do that. So.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.